Uri Brener, shalom, and welcome to CultureBuzz.
Thank you very much.
In this series, we would like to share contemporary music by Israeli composers with musicians and music lovers all over the world. Each chapter will present one piece and a conversation with its composer. We are pleased to have this talk with you about Chamber Symphony, which is going to be performed very shortly, actually tonight, with the Tel-Aviv Soloist Ensemble conducted by Barak Tal. How did you get into music, and at which point did you decide you're going to become a composer?
Well, it's kind of easy to answer. I'm coming from a music family. So my mother is a violin player, and my father was a bassoonist, and like all other members of the family were in music too. So there was no much hesitation about that question. So the next generation should be a musician. So I studied bassoon and then also piano and theory. But quite early, I actually discovered that producing sounds the way I like is something very fascinating to me, and so I started writing music very early. I don't remember exactly the age, but like the first pieces that I still have and consider to be my first pieces are about age 11, 12.
And can you describe for us how does it feel when you first start writing a new piece?
No. It's I don't think there's a point in time where you really start writing a piece. I think it's rather a process which takes sometimes a very, very long time. There's just one point when you say, okay, now I start writing it, but it doesn't mean you didn't start already long before that.
And what gave you the inspiration to write Chamber Symphony that we're going to hear tonight?
Well, actually, it's we're coming back to the first question, because the part of this music was written while still in Moscow when I was a 16 years old kid, and was written as a string quartet actually, and have been performed afterwards by the Aviv Quartet here in Israel and also in America and in Europe. But at a certain point I saw the potential to make more out of it, and the moment there was a kind of a call for scores from the Tel-Aviv Soloist Ensemble, I decided that I will go until the end, and there was an extra extra movement which was written as a symphonic movement, and the rest was kind of upgraded and of course orchestrated anew. And so there's
with
a piece, right? So they have a piece which took like about maybe 20 years to write at the end, but on the other side it was done like in a few weeks. So back to the question, when do you start to write a piece? You know.
And although music is cosmopolitan and universal, what are the Israeli components in your music?
In my music in general, and this
And
piece
also,
particular.
and particular.
Well, again, this piece, because it has such a wide range in time, and during that time I changed 3 countries in which I lived actually, because in middle period I spent in Europe, studying in Germany and Holland. You know, it's a little difficult to speak about a particularly Israeli, point in this piece. But I think in general, what Israel gave me as a musical environment is the multiculturalism on the one side, and on the second half of it is probably getting back to your roots through this multiculturalism. In other words, seeing the oneness in all these different sorts of music.
Can you be more specific and give some examples, maybe?
Well, it's a little difficult to make it in words, I guess. I guess you would have to listen.
And what are your expectations and concern before a piece of yours is being performed?
that the overall picture, the overall image, or as you say in German, Gestalt, should really come over. I'm not so much concerned about the particular, this note or that note, and if a performer takes a completely different concept of the piece or a tempo, or it's fine with me as long as it really takes out of this music what there is to take out.
So do you believe actually there is more than one way to perform?
I don't believe in a composer's copyright on his piece. I think that the piece, once it's written, is not anymore composer's actually. So I think performer has exactly the same rights to deal with it as long as he's sincere.
Yes, I understand. And what's next?
Next, well, I just actually finished double concerto for harp and flute with strings and bass guitar, which is kind of a fusion piece combination, and I have already two performances, two premieres actually planned, one in the States and one in Russia. And hopefully,
what about in Israel?
Yes, I'm working on it as well now, and I actually spoke with Barak. Perhaps he will be willing to do that as well. He'll be interested. And I'm working right now on the oratorio, on the biblical sujet, which is kind of a middle way between an opera and oratorio. That's why I call it operatorio, something nice. In the middle. And it's that coming back to the Israeli point, I would say that this is something which comes out of this land, out of this air for me, and I do believe that again trying to put together also different styles, starting with rock music and back to Jewish liturgy music and ancient Jewish motifs and chants, all that in some kind of particular sound picture which I imagine in this connection. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Uri, and good luck.
Thank you so much.